Opinion. Reactions to the final and long overdue acceptance of the reality of accelerated climate has progressed from myopic denial to the illogical. Almost everyone with a political agenda of any sort is using climate change to promote their theories. The latest, and one of the most unusual, has come from the prestigious the Lancet Commission on Obesity, which has suggested a tax on red meat as a way to address threats to nutrition, human health and climate change. University of Auckland population health professor and commission co-chair Professor Boyd Swinburne said national and international responses to all three problems had been unacceptably slow. Read more, the dark side of Dear Velvet cutting the attitude might cut the road toll justice, not vengeance puts souls at rest it's time to cap tourist numbers. He is correct in relation to climate change, but the red meat issue requires some careful thought. New Zealand scientists as long ago as 1912 warned that the increased combustion of coal, by railways and steamships, would lead to air pollution and global warming, which would be a problem in a century or two. Just a century later the problem is very real, but we have done little more than argue about who should do what, if anything at all. We have had symposiums, international protocols, treaties and talkfests, but little in the way of real action. Governments the world over have come up against powerful vested interests with too much to lose by any restrictions on those commercial activities which are the main drivers of climate change. Coal mines, oil wells and agriculture produce most of the methane gas, one of the principal causes of global warming and the root cause of accelerated climate change. We can't simply turn them off tomorrow, but we have the technology to replace our reliance on these fuels within a decade or two. Germany will cease electricity production from coal-fired stations by 2038, but is that soon enough? The other source of climate-changing methane is a byproduct of digestion in ruminant animals, cattle, sheep, deer and goats. Early attempts to include agriculture in methane reduction measures failed as farmers flatly refused to entertain any suggestion that they could or should do anything about it. And who could really blame them, as the government of the day intended to use one of the least effective control measures, a tax on methane. It was quickly dubbed the far tax and left out of existence, as it should have been. Now Professor Swinburne has suggested applying another tax to a problem which needs a much more logical solution. In his report he claims a reduction of red meat consumption through taxes, redirected subsidies and labeling would improve diets and prevent obesity and cancer, and also free up land for more sustainable crops, providing opportunities to reduce undernutrition and greenhouse gas emissions. He may well be correct to claim that a reduction in red meat consumption would reduce obesity, but we were recently advised that, by eating less red meat, too many people are developing iron deficiency anemia and a growing number are ending up in hospital. The main cause was a lack of iron-rich foods such as red meat, seafood or leafy greens, with red meat the most important and easy-to-absorb source. A reduction in the consumption of fatty fast food and sugar-loaded drinks would make more sense, but no one has been brave enough to tax or even regulate them yet. A tax on red meat is a health measure and an indirect measure to combat climate change is a long and illogical bow to draw at best, and red meat is already too expensive for many families. Responses to climate need not be that complex. Those that will make a difference are, in fact, quite simple to understand if daunting for some and costly for others. The climate has always been in a state of change. Most of these changes have taken place over very long periods of time, and most life forms have been able to adapt. For those that could not adapt, there have been massive extinctions. The current warming of Earth's atmosphere, about 3 degrees centigrade over less than 300 years, is one of the fastest changes scientists have been able to identify, and created by the combustion of fossil fuels. Massive deforestation by humans has also played a significant part in warming the atmosphere by taking out too much of the forest cover which would normally absorb carbon dioxide. Humans are the only species to have the intellect to understand and assess their impact on the environment on which they rely for life. They are also the only species with the technology to manage and mitigate that impact. All that is missing is the collective courage to apply that technology fast enough. Taxing red meat has no role to play in that and may in fact create more health problems. Stuff.